Hello and welcome everyone to the Leading People podcast. I'm Meeta Sahni of the Maine Group, and I'm really pleased to be joined today by Darren Caplan, who's the Chief Executive at RIA. RIA is Railway Industry Association. And Darren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi Meeta, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Really good to have you on board. I mean, Darren, when we look at you and your story and hear about what you've been, doing and how you've got to where you've got to, I just realised that you've probably been a chief exec for more than half your life. So you've had that leadership position for a long time.
I wish I was as young as all that.
Half your career. Would you agree?
I've been a chief executive now for about 12 years. And yes, out of the last 25 years, I've been, working in whether it's politics or lobbying or being chief executive. So almost half that time has been chief executive. I hadn't thought about it till now.
Well, I guess that's what sessions like this allow, some perspective and food for thought, because part of the reason that this approach is so popular is because we often don't sit back and really consider the impact of what we've done or the milestones achieved and actually what other people can learn from our journeys. And the fact that leadership has been such a big part of your career, I'd really like to pick your brains about whether it was nature or nurture, what you've learned, all the things that I think everyone who wants to embark on the journey or right in the middle of it and can't see the wood for the trees sometimes wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing, actually. I think everyone can be a leader in whatever field they're doing in, and there are certain things you have to do to achieve that. But it also is about picking your moments as well. People think leadership is about dominating and asserting, and it's not. Yeah. It's about being a part of a team, building a team, being useful to a team, and making it function. If you focus on the things that make something the best it can be, you'll achieve success. And if you're seen to achieve success, then that's leadership in a way. They'll want to do more of it, and hopefully they'll emulate you and be leaders themselves. And we do something to do some training with my current team at RIA, but which is about all be leaders in what you do. It's not about running a team of 20 or 20,000. It's about what you do and how you inspire others or how you achieve things. And looking back on most of my life, it's been trying to achieve things in a successful way, and that ends up in leading other people a lot of the time.
I like that because it is almost like a recipe to success, which is focus on the outcomes and deliver them well. And through that, because you deliver through people, right? So, and I really like that about everyone can be a leader in their individual roles, because I suppose that's what creates a culture of an environment, isn't it? And so is that something that RIA feel very strongly about? Is that everything?
Yeah, it's very much so, Meeta. I mean, we do a lot of training at RIA about how we can perfect ourselves as a team, how we can improve our individual behaviours, and they're both interlinked. So if everyone's individually happy, doing well, striving, achieving, and fitting that in with everyone else, then you have a successful team. Yeah. And then when you have a successful team, you can have a successful organisation or activity, whatever it is you're doing. So we spend a lot of time concentrating on that. One of the things that we found, one of the biggest issues is obviously constant learning. You've got to make sure you're learning all the time from other people, and making that count for other people as well. So relate it across to what they're doing, what you're doing can help them. And candid feedback's another big part of what we do to kind of inspire leadership as well. So if something's going on that you are unhappy with or you can do better at, but you never talk to people about it, nothing will ever come of it. Yeah. So we're trying to create a culture where you can go into a room with someone and say, look, I want to give some positive feedback or some concerned feedback, but you need to know this. Yeah. And that way everyone feeds back to everyone else. And it's quite humbling for me and actually a positive thing if a very junior member of the team comes to me and says, Darren, I want to give you some feedback about something. The way you did this, the way you said that, your idea. And they do feel they can do that without getting into trouble. And my first reaction is always, well done for having the confidence to come in here and give me the feedback about how I'm doing. And I always ask for it as well. So whenever I'm having one-to-ones with people, are you happy with how you're being treated? Are you happy with the way we're dealing with things? Yeah. And that way people don't be afraid. There will always be problems at work, and how you resolve them is really important. So, learning from others and employing that learning and candid feedback are two things that we really drum in hard to our team, and they enjoy it as well. So, it's a positive reinforcing circle.
I love that. I think they also call it reverse mentoring, don't they? When junior people support or reflect back to senior people, and the learning, it's so powerful because everything is communication, and the breakdown in communication is from different perspectives, and the fact that people don't see it in the same way. So I love that. And as you said,
and we also employ it with our membership as well. So our members at a trade association are like clients or customers for other leaders and people you speak to.
Yeah.
And I'm always saying to our members, give us candid feedback. If you're not happy with something, if you keep it in your head, we can't act on it. So tell us what it is. Good stuff we can do more of. Bad things we can change. We can try and improve, but we can't do it unless you tell us. So this candid feedback loop again and again comes back to how we work as an organisation, how we work as a team, and it doesn't cost anything to do. Anyone can do it. Just say to your team, let's be candid with each other. Don't get rude. Don't get upset. Don't have a thin skin about it.
Yeah.
Just accept it, and if you disagree with it, you can say so. Thanks for the feedback. I don't agree with that, but having that communication is really key.
I'm blown away. I like that so much, and so many talk about having this open forum, and but actually you are eating, living, and breathing that. And as a result, what have you found from your people? You said that a junior member of the team came and spoke to you, but overall, what has the impact of that been on your people?
Well, for me, we are selling services and goods. We're not selling widgets. We haven't got to make a profit on. So it's all about the people. So I personally spend most of my month talking to my team. So everyone who's a direct report of mine, I see every fortnight, once a fortnight, and a one-to-one. And anyone who's not a direct report, I see once a month. So I'm having 30, 35 meetings every month, just 20, 30-minute one-to-ones.
Yeah. And
that in itself means I can understand what's going on with the team and deal with their issues.
You're a high-touch leader.
Pardon?
You're a high-touch leader.
And I cover a few things. One is how things are going for you individually. How do you hit your KPIs? Is your work good? Then I ask them about their sub-team, how things are going with your sub-team. Then about the team overall, how things are going with the team. And then what's really important to me is I ask them about what's going on outside of work. So kind of what you call relationship discussions. How's things with your boyfriend or girlfriend? How's things at home? Are you going out having fun and doing things? And that way you feel that you're amongst a bunch of people who you really understand them and you get them. Yeah. And if they're having a bad day, they can come in and say, I'm having a bad day. I'm going to work, but, and that helps quite a lot as well. And I'd hope that if anyone met my team, they'd say, yeah, we do have a very open culture. We do talk to each other. The boss is accessible, but then everyone should be accessible to everyone else.
Yeah.
And my kind of stop refrain to when anybody comes to me to have a moan, because moaning is part of work as well. Yeah. They come to me to have a moan. I say, well, have you told the person you're annoyed with them? Or have you told them that they have done something you don't like?
Yeah.
And they say, well, no. So, well, give them a chance to do something about it. If having told them, you still haven't had improvement or change, then we can do something about it. Then we can look at a process or a mechanism or have another conversation.
Yeah.
But candid feedback is so important to it, and that open kind of channels of communication between everyone. But it does take time to get there, Meeta. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time of developing that culture. And it certainly wasn't the culture at Rio when I joined here 5 years ago. So we've done a lot of work on that to try and improve people's behaviour and perfect team performance.
So for somebody listening and hearing about this environment of candid feedback, of a partnership approach to that solution, whatever the outcomes are that you want to achieve as an organization, how long would you say it took you from joining, at 5? And I'm putting you on the spot here because I know it's not, it's not like you flicked a switch. But if you were to sort of reflect on when you thought, actually, everyth's starting to fall into place now, how long would you say that took?
I think it takes a couple of years. You can start it and see benefits straight away. But for me, there are two things you have to do. One is you have to find out what are the problems with the team in the first place. So I got a company to do an independent survey of our team to find out how they felt about things. And it's easy to do when you're fairly new into a team because you don't get defensive about it. But anyone can do it. Get an independent outsider to do a survey of your team and say, let's find out what the issues are.
Yeah.
Then I get an independent facilitator to help with some of the training to say, well, look, we need to work on these areas. A, B, and C are clearly areas for the team, both individually and as a team. and let's work on those. And if you have a training session, I know once every 6 months, and some bits in between as well, maybe some exercises you can do. It's self-reinforcing, so good things start to happen. The biggest problem with this kind of training is just people forget things, so you do have to keep reminding them. For me personally, I've got things that I need to work on as part of my training, which I've come out of these training sessions. So one is I've got this thing called don't dive in, DDI, because I often get involved at the start of conversations. So I say stay out, let people have the conversation, and try and come in a bit later on. And another one is called relationship conversations, because I'm often very focused on results and KPIs and stuff. But actually, your employees are really important to you. So how are they getting on in their lives? And I actually have 2 Post-its by my desk, which say, one says DDI and one says relationship conversations. So I find myself employing these techniques regularly when I speak to people, and hopefully my team members are doing the same thing. So I hope they've got a couple of Post-its by their computer. And before they start the conversation, they might think, I better remember to be this way or to be that way or to think about that. So the training's not hard to do. You can put it in the diary, you can schedule it, you can do it. The difficulty is not forgetting lessons you've learned or not keeping to re-employ them. Yeah,
it's not putting that folder in the top drawer and forgetting about it. And I think the word I would use for that is conscientious leadership. If everyone is encouraged to be a leader, or whenever they're having a conversation, giving feedback, knowing what their challenges are, it's about stepping in with presence. That word is used in sort of meditation and all of that, but actually in a working environment for leadership to come across as authentic, engaged, interested, you have to be present. And as part of that checking in with yourself, it's right, what are the things that trip me up on getting good engagement and good outcomes? And I like that a lot. And the fact that you lead by example, I think, is also really important, because a bit like parenting, employees will certainly hear what you say, but they will probably respond more to what you do.
It's interesting. It is important, I think, to be, similar to, do the same kind of things and be prepared to step in as your team would step in. So a good example was only last week. We have a room booking system at work, and you have to click into a link and it books the room for you. And someone did it. Someone said, "I want a room," and hadn't booked the link. And they said to the receptionist, "says why isn't this room booked?" It says, "Does the chief executive use this system?" And she said, "Yeah, he does. He's actually the best one at using the system." And you can't push back against that. And the point is that being objective, you're setting things up at work to make the workplace the better place, to make it deliver better for its members. Everyone should be bought into that, whether it's the chief executive or the receptionist or whoever it may be. And I think it does get you credit if you're prepared to do the things that everyone else is supposed to be doing.
I completely agree. I think that I speak a lot about, in an organization, every role is equally important. It doesn't mean that every role brings the same return, but if you're looking at a workflow process, any element of that, if it falls, it means the whole process is going to be impacted. So it's about treating every role with equal importance, every individual with equal importance, and not having this hierarchy for the sake of it. Yes, there are reporting lines, and yes, there are duties, but not necessarily making people feel above or below. Everyone in their individual space should be given that respect for achieving that role 100%. And it sounds like you've got that with this sort of two-way feedback environment.
Well, you have to work at it, and it's not perfect, but we do. I mean, one of the ways we do keep it going, and I'm sure many of your listeners will do this as well, is we have staff appraisals. So through the course of the year, you set out your objectives. Halfway through the year, how you're delivering against them, and at the end of the year, what have you done? And if you've done a good job, hopefully you'll get a bonus based on it. What we measure in the appraisal is not just what they do, but how they do it. So everyone's got a different section for what they do. That's your job. That's what you're paid for. That's your job spec. Blah blah blah. But everyone has exactly the same measurement when it comes to behaviours. Have you mucked in? Are you a team player? Are you going the extra mile? Are you coming with ideas for socials? Are you And by that, you can compare different people in the team, whatever level they are. You can see the ones who really put it in for the team, and the ones who are kind of maybe more individual and don't get so involved. But if they are doing more for the team, they should be slightly more recompensed. They should be more recognised, because without the team, you've got nothing.
No, and the value goes farther, doesn't it? When you're able to sort of spread your knowledge to amongst each other. I like that. I'm getting so much from this session. Thank you. It's really good. So the form of leadership that you spoke about, one of your post-it notes around relationship conversations. My phrase I coined for that type of leadership is holistic leadership. So it's, yes, we bring people into an organization to achieve an outcome, but as any relationship, there's a value exchange, which is that they want then security, career, some sort of cultural environment, some fulfillment. But actually there's that third element, which is self, that person also wants to develop as an individual. And something we've adopted in our world is not only having business objectives, but personal growth objectives, because very often people's personal growth can feed into the business anyway. So do you, it seems like something that you've done as standard, or is this something that you brought in over time?
I mean, you can always learn. You make a really good point, and I can learn from that about holistic. I think one of the things we do, everyone has some training budget available to them. So if there's areas they want to work on, we can fund them to do a course. They do quite a lot on their own volition, actually. So often I'll find out that someone's gone off and done some, I don't know, a wall climbing course or something, and other people in the office do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We do have a program of kind of socials and away days where it's not just about work, it's about gelling as a team and getting to know each other and understanding what everyone's about. But there is a fine balance, and this comes through sometimes the EDI training about what person you bring to work. And some people would say, bring your full person to work, bring the whole you should come in the office.
Yeah.
I would probably say bring your professional person to work, which is what you need to do to be in the office, plus some personality. But I think that for some people, including myself, you go to work, we go to the office often to escape things in your life as well. Not everyone's got a perfect life. And actually, when you're at work, you're so busy doing stuff, you don't think about some of these negative things. So it's good to bring the positive stuff, but to me, I'd say be professional and have fun. And I think if you're having fun at work and you're enjoying your teammates' company and you're doing things with them socially and all the rest of it, you are doing something that's more than just a job, and you're doing more than just a career. And it's voluntary. It's not forced fun. No one's forcing you to do it. You want to.
You make that choice every day to come to work and then give their expertise to it.
So in answer to your question, I don't know for certain, but I'd like to think if you ask most of my team, are you getting more from work than just a job? I would hope they say yes and they enjoy it.
Well, and I think, you've hit the nail on the head there about when you do bring people into your world, knowing them personally and professionally doesn't mean that they can be personal. It's more personable. It's having that, approachability, but in a professional environment. And actually, I think acknowledging that people are allowed to bring themselves to work, they can say, I've had a bad night last night, but now I'm ready to do my work, will probably get more engagement than somebody who thinks, oh my God, I can't actually even say. And it sounds like, again, that you've got that environment, which is authenticity, isn't it?
It's really important. And we've had one member of staff who's been going through a bit of a tough time just before Christmas, and they see coming to work as kind of a way of bringing themselves up. It's like, it's great to be around people, and it's buzzy and all the rest of it. So it's interesting. It kind of brings us into the area of kind of the balance of working in office and working from home as well.
Yeah. And
I would say, whilst there may be some positive things, I know the pandemic's brought it out. For a lot of people, actually, a buzzy office or a buzzy workplace, it helps their lives. It's like, oh, it's a problem, I've got to get to work. It's actually, we've had people who are like, it's really good to be amongst a bunch of people who are buzzy and talkative and go for a drink afterwards and that kind of thing. Well, we must forget that side of the importance of a workplace.
I agree. I think, the mental well-being agenda rightfully is so pushed up, and actually a workplace environment really helps that if employers are able to structure that correctly and explain to people the benefits and the whys of for people being in, people then again feel empowered by their workspace and get the best from it. And you've got lovely offices, and you mentioned the EDI training, and we were really grateful to be able to share that time.
It's great to work with you on that, and you've got a great session for us, so thank you.
Likewise, that your team are so motivated and so honest, and that's what you've said about your leadership style and the fact that everyone is a leader really shone through, because everyone took responsibility in that workshop to make sure that the outcome was that they challenged themselves to what EDI meant for Railway Industry Association. And I know that RIA not only promote that with their members, but it's something that you've made a pledge for the next 10 years or something. Tell me a little bit about that. I think it's
so we knew this was an issue that needed addressing. I mean, the railway industry is particularly old-fashioned and has a certain demographic working for it, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And that's not their fault. You know, it's a 200-year-old industry.
Yeah.
So the challenge is going forward is how do you make it more inclusive, diverse, welcoming to people who may not think it's a career for them.
Yeah.
But also, how do you get the established characters to mix with new people and pass on their learning and to collaborate as well? So it's not either or. It's actually both sides.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I think around the summer of 2020, we set up this EDI Charter along with a group called Women in Rail.
Yes.
And the idea was to say, let's get businesses within the railway industry to commit to some things to actually make it better. What was really important, though, was that it was a positive campaign. It wasn't about, castigating people for not doing things. It's saying, look, how, that might be in a more HR legal way of doing it. But from our perspective, it was very much a case of, look, how can we get people to volunteer to opt in to this initiative, this campaign? Yeah. And it's the charter, what you're committing yourself to, if you're a railway business signing up to it, you're committing to a senior team member being an EDI champion. So everyone who's a member of the organisation champions quality, diversity and inclusion. You develop an action plan and then you report back on whether you've delivered that over the course of those 12 months. You take part in training and education. So part of what we did is we did some training with you, and there'll probably be some more down the line, but you do something to try and educate people about some of the issues. You try to develop an inclusive culture. So what is it you're doing in your workplace to be inclusive? Are you being meritocratic? Are you being, blind to various ends and looking at the person rather than attributes? And then finally, an inclusive recruitment process. So when you're recruiting new people to your team, do you have processes in place to make sure that everyone has a fair crack of the whip? I personally am very happy to try and have a more diverse pipeline and build up the talent pipeline. At the point of decision, it has to be the best person. And you pick the best person for any role there was. So there's kind of 5 or 6 things that you commit to. It's in a charter, it's on a website, it's in a booklet that's sent round, and you sign up to it. And as of the end of last year, around November time, we had about 170 signatures, which is pretty good. And these aren't individuals, these are signing on behalf of very large rail businesses and organisations. And so that's it. And the other thing that we do is we run our own working group to look at EDI, and we work with the industry to look at other measures going forward about how we can take the agenda forward.
And that right there is leadership, being bold, being brave, leading from the front. And you've inspired not only your own team to be leaders, but a whole sector, a 200-year-old.
We'll see how that goes. But the take-up's been very positive. And what's been really good about it is it's been a very positive campaign, but also the people who might feel threatened by it are positive about it as well. So we have this thing, for example, we have an event at RIA called Trailblazers, and we promote it as bringing future and existing rail leaders together. And they mix regularly, every few months we do an event, and they mix and they talk and they learn from each other. And it's just a nice thing to do. It's not a case of we're replacing this set of people with that set of people. It's developing a long-term talent pool.
Indeed, and so much knowledge and expertise in the original cohort that exist, and they have so much to teach. So, and that's a really non-threatening way to share that. Fantastic. I mean, anyone who gets to listen or watch this podcast is going to go away with some practical approaches to leadership that can help their organisation.
Well, what I would say, Meeta, is particularly on the EDI front, if they do want to talk to our EDI leaders at RIA, they're more than happy to get in touch with us. And there's almost like there's a playbook there that you can use.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm going to make sure that I let our network know about that, because leadership is, as you said, it's about doing things well, and as a result, being seen as a good leader. But actually, you're being very humble, because you've put the thinking into it before you've created the results. And so it's that it's that circle of success that you've created. And, I just wish you success as you go.
Thank you,
Darren. It's been really refreshing, and I've learned so much, from this session, which is that's the bonus for me. I get to interview you and hear about you and your world and I actually did want to go into your background a bit, but actually hit our 25-minute timeline. So I think we're going to have to do a part 2 of this down the line, Darren.
Okay. Thanks for your time. It was lovely talking to you.
A pleasure, and I look forward to next time.
Okay.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.